Moving on to the very first session of the day, we have a keynote session and I am very excited. I can't wait for it. The reason being, we have got with a stellar 20 years proven track record of building and transforming brands globally. Our indomitable speaker has unique experience and expertise in crafting and curating brand experiences across retail, digital and social, with the key objective of igniting consumer desire and irrational loyalty. Her experience spans across luxury, beauty, fashion, real estate categories. Her clients included P&G, Unilever, Pfizer, Frederick Fackel, Nespresso, Estee Lauder, Ralph Lauren, Taylor Swift Fragrance, the Diamond Trading Company or De Beers, Steinway & Sons, the Corcoran Real Estate Group, Seiko, Samuelson Fine Trading, Roberta Roller Rabbit. That's quite a list, my God. Today's keynote session will be conducted by none other than Dagmara Szulce, Managing Director, IAA Global.
Everyone, my name is Dagmara Szulce. I'm the Global Managing Director of the International Advertising Association. Thank you very much to the Brand Forum for inviting me and the IAA to speak at the Communication Summit about the metamorphosis of creativity. Before I jump into the presentation, I wanted to set the context for my presentation. The COVID-19 pandemic has fundamentally altered our world and how we as humans interact with our environment. Its impact has been massive, and governments across the world have been struggling to restart economies. The fact is, brands will play a leading role in restarting the pulse of economies across the world. Brands convey the source, quality, and authenticity of products. Brands represent creativity, innovation, and optimism. Strong brands can rebuild economic strength. In fact, research shows that the importance of brands actually increases during times of crisis. This is why I have chosen to share with you how the most valuable brands in the world are building their brands and using creativity to their advantage. So today I would like to share with you a little bit information about the IAA and explain the role associations can play in the era of crisis. And then I'm going to dive into the topic of creativity and how creativity has been evolving, especially during those challenging times. So I will start sharing the presentation with you right now. So let me start by setting the context about the IAA. IAA is the world's largest non-profit association with members coming from all the sectors of the industry: advertising agencies, clients, platforms, the academia, consulting firms, as well as the academia. This unique broad spectrum of our members allows us to harvest knowledge from all of the sectors to share with the industry in a neutral way. Our purpose in the industry is to serve as the global compass and use all of the knowledge from all the different sectors, from all the different countries, to point the industry to the next frontier of building high-value brands. But also as a compass, we help the industry to navigate through challenging times to do with different technology changes, times affected by changing consumer behaviors, but also by challenges such as the pandemic. IAA has offices across 35 countries, and we harvest this knowledge constantly to be up to speed and share the knowledge with the rest of the world to point the industry about what does it take today to build high-value brands. As Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And this is why at IAA, we put all the emphasis to constantly re-educate the industry on the latest trends and knowledge. So hopefully the industry can thrive in crisis and move on as quickly as possible. The way IAA shares the knowledge is through the portfolio of our global iconic events. In the 80-year history of the association, we've had 44 world congresses which is our iconic event to communicate to the industry the latest trends about building high-value brands. In addition to this, we have a portfolio of regional global events with 2 upcoming events this year, Africa Rising in September 27 and Creative for Better happening in October of this year. Next year, in the first quarter, we'll have our first regional Asian event called Nations as Brands. We also produce a lot of content on our global website to educate the industry about the latest trends. And one of the most important trends given the pandemic has been the topic of why brands matter and how brands can be seen as the engine for economic revival. We have spent a lot of time in the last year and a half educating governments around the world about the role brands, creativity, and innovation can play in reviving economies. We launched last year a whole global conference called Brands, the Engine for Economic Revival, dedicated to the topic of brands and creativity and innovation and how they can play a role in restarting economies. So it's such a pleasure to me to talk to you about this topic today, because I'm very passionate about this topic, and I really feel creativity and innovation will be key to react to what's happening and help collaborate with governments and our industry to restart the economies as soon as possible. So why creativity matters to brands? Why? Because if done correctly, creativity and innovation can build intangible value capable of securing category leadership. As you know, just to refresh your memory, some of those iconic leading brands, they were able to use creativity and innovation to elevate themselves above the category, to own a place that nobody occupies. And they've done it by creating intangible value. So Coke, happiness. Tiffany is not in the business of create jewelry. Tiffany is in the business of spreading love. Apple is not in the business of computers. Apple is in the business of creativity. Lingerie, Victoria's Secret is not in the business of lingerie, they're in the business of seduction, and so on, so on. If done properly, creativity and innovation are key to creating category leadership and to creating huge value for companies. And why brands matter? Brands matter to economies because they contribute significant values. You can see on the right the brand value by economy. In the US, brands contribute 3.2 trillion to the economy. In China, brands contribute 1.3 trillion to economy. As you can see, brands do play a significant role in strengthening economies. This is why brands also can play a role in reviving economies in the times of crisis. And this is why we at IAA focus on the knowledge about what does it take today to build those high-value brands. So according to Forbes, these are today's most valuable brands in the world, the 10 top brands. And not surprisingly, as you can see, most of those brands come from technology. So what does it take to build those kind of brands? We believe that focusing on knowledge about what does it take to build those brands and learning from this could unlock some ideas for all of your other pieces of business, because these players have consistently been able to transform and adjust to continue to be the leading brands in the world. So let's see what's happening. As you know, technology revolution has been transforming our lives. At the same time, technology came to the rescue during the pandemic. Technology is becoming much more agile, much more intelligent, much more powerful, much more connected, resulting in consumers being more empowered ever than before. Consumers are, as the result of technology, are always on, always connected, and as the result, they're expecting brands to adapt to them on their own terms. What kind of creativity does it take to build high-value brands in the era of consumer empowerment? The evolution, the creativity definition has changed significantly And obviously, this is all driven by technology and the changing consumer behaviors. And in order today to succeed, we need new type of creativity. We need new type of creative talent to really understand how to engage with consumers on a highly personal level. As David Roth once said, we are seeing a move from individual products and services brands to a new era of highly disruptive ecosystems. Brands need to understand the value this type of model can create and should embrace a new creative approach to be successful in the future. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is about creating living brand ecosystem, because this is the living brand ecosystem is what all of the brands that I have shared with you, the top leading, the highest value brands, this is what they pursue to engage with consumers. So let's have a look. So creating a living brand ecosystem is the way to build high brand value, irrational loyalty. During the pandemic or beyond the pandemic, these are some of the rules that we've learned are timeless right now. And these are the rules that those leading highest value brands follow, including through the pandemic, to stay relevant and to be the head of the game and to be the category leaders. So let's see, what are the four ingredients of those living brand ecosystems. Number one, all of them are purpose-driven systems. Number two, what do? They deliver hyper-personalized experiences. How do they work? They leverage human empathy and tech-enabled intelligence. And number four, how they're different? They replace consistency with flexible strategies that are continuously tested and optimized. So let me now dive into all of this in 4 points to explain to you what I mean by this. But the number one thing that's common for all of those highest value brands is that those brands are relentlessly relevant all the time. Their behaviors to move with us and inspire us and be with us all the time. They allow us to make smart, bold moves that amaze customers, push competitors out of consideration. Those brands, those highest value brands, they disrupt and define new categories with new products, services, and experiences. So not surprisingly, I'm sure you're familiar with all of those brands. These are the brands that have disrupted the existing categories, and they have created categories on their own. And how they have done it? By having a brand purpose, by understanding consumers on a highly personal levels, by creating experiences, products and services and vocabulary that never existed in the current category. And they have delighted consumers consistently all the time on a highly personal level. So let's dive into each of the points that I have discussed. So number one, what do they have in common? They are purpose-driven brands. Living brands use their core reason for existence to inform everything the brand does. So not just from a communication point of view, but those brands put purpose as the beating heart of their business behavior. So for example, look at Ladurée. Ladurée is a French luxury macaroon brand. They put the idea of pleasure at the epicenter of their business behavior. Not only the products, the way they are designed, they're baked with beautiful pastel colors. When you purchase Ladurée macaroons, from the moment you bite into the product, you experience incredible, unforgettable pleasure. The website experience also feels like diving into a pleasurable experience. They have translated this idea of pleasure into every single aspect of the brand experience. Sephora, the leading beauty retailer in the world, they are not just a beauty retailer, they are a beauty playground. Sephora made a strategic business decision to create a playground for women and have given women tools where they can play with cosmetics on their own terms based on their personalized needs. Unlike traditional department stores where you have salespeople pushing products, Sephora actually puts the consumer at the center and allows consumers to play and have fun on their own terms. And Sephora is just there to guide you and assist you with different products, services, and experts to make the experience as enjoyable as possible. Etsy is an example of a US retailer. It's a marketplace for craftsmen. Craftsmanship is at the center, at the core of the brand's proposition. And the idea of craftsmanship and the marketplace for craftsmanship is really at the core of the business idea. So these are the three great examples of how brands put a purpose at the heart of the business behavior and have translated this across every single facet of communication and engagement point with consumer. The second ingredient of living brands ecosystem is hyper-personalized experiences. The leading global brands really understand their consumer. They collect data, they understand the consumer behavior, they understand consumer segments to come up with a personalized offering. Nespresso is the leading global luxury coffee brand that understood that a luxury coffee drinker has a discerning taste and they are seeking unique experiences. So not only they have sourced their coffee from 1% of the best coffee beans in the world, but they've created 16 grand crus to meet different tastes of their consumers. So a customer of Nespresso can customize their coffee experience. eBay created a ShopBot, is a personalized shopping assistant that helps people find the best deals from eBay's 1 billion listings. A new commerce solution powered by artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and human judgment. So again, you can see how leading brands are investing in technology, data, and analytics to really understand consumers on a hyper-personalized level. So, and they provide consumers with products and services to engage with them on this hyper-personal level. Disney is another great example. The Magic Band enables personalized her birthday walks by Mickey Mouse, it knows to give the child a personalized birthday greeting. The reason they know this is because they have been so diligent in collecting the data, segmenting the consumers, understanding the consumers, and then creating products, once again, to engage with consumers so they understand that Disney is with them all the time, understanding their needs and requirements. The third ingredient of the living brand ecosystem is the fact that living brands build relentless relevancy by adapting to the moments in people's life. So again, through technology, through analytics, those brands move with you and are with you all the time. Some of the great examples is Nike. Nike enables runners to represent and captain their neighborhoods when they train via the Nike Plus app. Nike's activities and look and feel become neighborhood specific, driving not only usage, but also deep engagement. We know Nike has been one of the leading brands in being purpose-driven and it's all about personal performance. And they've been leading in really adapting different technology, enabling Nike to stay closer to consumers. YouTube is another example. With the addition of a separate kids music and gaming environment, YouTube adapts depending on the user's context. So the YouTube Kids interface, for instance, offers icons instead of text navigation and only family-friendly context, understanding different consumer needs. Victoria's Secret, they, again, understanding different consumer segment, created completely different store environment for younger audience, for teenagers. And finally, living brands intelligently, actively gather and use data to create new and better experiences, products, and services. So the top leading, the highest value brands are intelligent. They're intelligent in mining the data to create custom offering for consumers. And I think Netflix and Starbucks are some of the best in class brands, where in the Netflix example, Netflix learns from the user's viewing habits, not only to offer recommendation, but to create content. So this is in the era of content creation. This is very important that brands have technologies capable of understanding consumers and the consumers' needs, behavior. So this actually provides insights for content creation. Netflix is a master in that, and so is Amazon, by the way. Starbucks is another brand, and the new omni-channel loyalty program collects data at all customer touchpoints, allowing the company to create gamified incentives for customers, informing new products development. And finally, leading brands build loyalty and engagements by moving from listening to having conversations with their customers. So it is this always on kind of living brands environment where brands constantly communicate with consumers, getting feedbacks and understanding what are the latest needs. The Alexa voice agent from Amazon makes it fun and natural for people to strike up conversation. It's almost like talking with a human. This allows Amazon for constant engagement with their consumers. Marriott created WeChat technology solution, helping with their customers with everything from finding restaurants to translating different information, provides different guides. Apple, obviously, state-of-the-art Apple support system, where you can talk to Apple support team 24/7 days a week. These are the types of things, investing in technology, understanding the need to be constantly connected to consumers. This is what gives those top highest value brands really the advantage versus the rest of the category. So let's look, Apple has been presented as a case study many times, but this Apple store on 5th Avenue and 58th Street in New York City remains to be the most profitable Apple store, the most profitable store, full stop, in the world. Despite the pandemic, despite any crises, Apple has been able to be the most profitable retailer with this one store around the world. So how do they do this? How did they go about creating this living brand ecosystem to continue to be the category leader despite the pandemic, despite the difficult times? Bloomberg in 2000 they are turning out the lights on a very painful, expensive mistake. Apple invested unbelievably high amount of money into this retail store to create something that has never been seen in a category, to create a retail environment and a retail experience that was never created before. So how do they do this? Of course, for Apple, just like with any of those leading brands, consumer is at the center. The consumer needs, and in the case of Apple, they knew that unlike Microsoft, they were targeting the creative consumer. And how they use creativity to create now a brand experience around it. Again, Apple has a formula for this. So when it comes to creating Apple experiences, they look at the experience through 4 different quadrants: products and services, environment, communication, and behavior. So Apple uses creativity very different than other brands. They use creativity to, number one, before they start talking about communication, the number one thing is, how do we envision unique products and services to make them relevant to our consumer? Number 2, how do we use creativity to build an environment that elevates us above the category? Number 3, how do we use creativity to develop staff behavior it's something that nobody else has in the category? And only then they ask themselves a question: how do we use creativity to build communication to engage with our consumer? So these are the results of creativity, of creative process at Apple. Let's look at product services. They didn't create just another computer. They saw the products as icons. They created a store environment where those iconic products can be displayed as almost pieces of art. They design new experiences like the Genius Bar that was never seen before, because this was something that allowed Apple, through the creative process, explain the technology in a very user-friendly way. They also created a state-of-the-art checkout anytime, anywhere system where consumers can pay for the products from any location in the store. Then they hired the geniuses. This was another creative product that was breakthrough in the category. They invented the idea of an Apple genius, a salesperson who wasn't really in charge of just selling and pushing the product, but he was in charge of engaging on a personal level with consumers to offer and recommend a product. And then they created the environment, the state-of-the-art temple I just showed with you. And then finally, they created playful, engaging, personal communication that was available to consumers 24 hours, 7 days a week. So as the result, until now, even throughout the pandemic, Apple remains to be one of the most leading, highest value brands because they continue doing what they had started doing a while back. Another amazing brand, a category leader that is emerging as one of a kind iconic brand is Tesla. Tesla is Tesla is using, again, creativity to re-envision the user experience. Unlike other car dealership, when you walk into a Tesla store, you feel like in an art gallery. Tesla uses creativity to surround consumer with different tools and products to help you create your own personalized Tesla car. Very different approach than other car dealership. Nike, obviously, well-known example, how they're using technology to constantly provide consumers with products and services that help you with your self-performance. So how has the creative process changed? The paradigm has changed significantly, and it's very important that brands and brand builders recognize this. In the old days, we used to be dealing with something called prescribed creativity. Brand was broadcasting to consumer. It was just from the brand to the consumer, and it was just a one-way broadcast. Then we moved to something called responsive creativity, where we would and then revise and push it to the consumer again. But what's happening right now? Our industries in the space of living brands ecosystem and living creativity, where brands are the most successful brands are constantly in conversation with consumers, listening and adjusting and optimizing and creating, not only revising their current creative, but also creating content that's inspired by new insights coming from the consumer. So the IBM is one example of a brand that has kind of transitioned from being kind of fixed prescribed brand to highly personalized, iconic, intuitive brand. And the Watson, introduction of Watson really was kind of the breakthrough, the moment for IBM when they developed an internal operating model where using artificial intelligence to listen to consumers and to understand all the insights coming to come up with different solutions. Obviously, in the case of IBM, in the B2B business space. So in this context, brands and creativity and experiences are evaluated against a very different set of criteria. If you are a brand owner, or if you are agency working on a brand, ask yourself those questions. Is my brand purpose-driven? Is my brand hyper-personalized? Is my brand contextual? Is my brand intelligent? Is my brand continuous? These are the type of new criteria that brands, some of those iconic, highest value brands are being evaluated against. And this is what is helping those highest value brands stay relevant in today's market, including crisis, including difficult times, just like the pandemic. So in summary, if you have the ambition to grow and to become category leader, but even just to move on from where you are, I feel a lot of brands have an opportunity to rethink their business model, their marketing model, and the operating model, in order to win in today's situation, you have to rethink, I think, the operating model of your agency, the operating model of your marketing department, what kind of creative talent, what kind of analytical talent you need to constantly listen to consumers and come up with solutions that are constantly relevant and engaging to create this irrational loyalty that some of those most iconic brands have. So in summary, 5 new ways to grow by driving relentless relevance, by creating living brands ecosystems. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Dagmara Szulce. I'm the Global Managing Director of the International Advertising Association. If you want to learn more insights about brands and global brands, please go to our website, www.iaglobal.org, and become a member of IAA. We are here for you, always happy to share global insights with the rest of the world. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dagmara, for your so enlightening, so insightful session.